I so appreciate you guys asking how the cats have been settling in now that we're here in Maine. They are loving having outdoor space. And of course, Pepe, he's having the best time. He is climbing all of the trees and loving it, giving me heart attacks, climbing to the top of the treehouse and just scaling down the pole that holds the swings up. Oh my gosh.
Mister.
It's really high. He just doesn't care. He is loving it. And so is Piper. She is not an adventurous girl at all. She'll come outside for a little bit, but then she wants to go back in and lay down, and that's totally fine with me because Pepe, I think, could at least defend himself a little bit in the wild maybe, but not that girl. And they're both being really safe and not going too far away. In fact, when we end up sitting outside, they generally end up sitting somewhere near me, even though they can go wherever the heck they want, but they don't, and I love that. Overall, they're having a great time, and they're loving the outdoor space and having so much room in the house. We are at my aunt's house, and she does stay here a few nights a week, and she does have a dog that really wants to chase them and won't give up on them, so he has to be gated downstairs and they're gated upstairs when they're here. He definitely chases Pepe when Pepe's in the rest of the house. He just went up a tree. I just heard him somewhere go up a tree. Yeah, and Pepe was outside once when they got here, and the dog was chasing him outside, and I had a small heart attack, and so did my aunt. Like, I was like, whoops. But just left the door open, and Pepe like ran a circle and came right back inside and went upstairs. Poor little guy. And I don't know what the dog would do if he got Pepe. I don't know if he just like intensely wants to know what the heck that is, or he wants to eat him. I don't know. Either way, when they're home, they just hide in my bedroom, which again is the size of our last apartment, so like they're fine. But I do feel bad. They are on edge when they're here. So we're settled in, and like everything is perfectly fine, and they're so happy and adjust really well when the dog's here, when the dog's not. But I do stress for them a little bit when the dog is here, because I know that stresses them. Everything's temporary, and we're super, super grateful for having this place to stay. I'm so grateful. Overall, it's so peaceful here and so relaxing. Even this part of the state, I'm in like the mid-coast region, and it's really trafficy and touristy right now. But a lot of schools in New England start on Monday, tomorrow. And so that'll help a little bit. And then after Labor Day, traffic generally really drops off, so that'll be nice. But while it's warm out, I've been trying to explore the local beaches and different nature areas around here, and it's so beautiful. It was pretty cool and chilly for most of the last week, but Friday it was hot again, and I didn't have work, so I took the day and I went to Popham Beach, or I guess Fort Popham specifically, which is different from the State Park Beach. I went early in the morning, so I knew I could get parking, and I just set up shop on the most beautiful beach. It is so pretty there. I mean, look at this spot I got. It is such a beautiful view. The Maine coastline is so stinking cute. It is such a beautiful mix of these wide open, huge sandy beaches and rocky cliffs and pine trees. It is just so pretty, and there are so many little islands. They're either bare with a cute little lighthouse, or they have a little poof of pine trees, sometimes with a house or a cabin tucked in there too. It's just so adorable. And just to put the cherry on top, the entire surf area where the sand is wet from the waves shimmers with tiny flecks of fool's gold. I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but in person in the sun, it is so gorgeous and magical. It's almost ridiculous. And the view, it stops my heart. By the end of the day, I was having to like hold my cheeks down because they were hurting from smiling so much. How crazy is that? But I've been really trying to listen to my body's physical reactions lately, and when my cheeks start hurting because I've been smiling so much, I think that speaks very loudly to me and how I'm feeling, and so I'm really happy about that. I think I'm just so happy to be home. And I think that's my body's way of telling me I've made the right move by coming back to Maine and feeling that this really is the place I want to be long term. It's definitely not gonna squelch like the travel bug and my urge to constantly be going and exploring and seeing new places. I think that's always gonna be a part of who I am. But as far as having a home base, coming back home to Maine, I think has just been totally the right move. I feel more confident about that every day. Not only does Maine really speak to the kind of lifestyle that I want, which is nature-centric and happy, more rural, where people smile and wave at each other, and plus my whole family's here. It just makes sense, which is so cool to think about because, yeah, I've moved around a lot, and I always thought wherever I went might be the place, but it ended up not feeling like the right place. Sometimes immediately, sometimes, after a couple years. And I'm so glad that I did spend years moving around and going and experiencing other things and figuring that stuff out. I think if I had not done that, I would always be wondering. And now I know coming back to Maine, like my body is reacting happily, and that's making me happy. So I guess we're all three settling in pretty good over here. Not that I am entirely comfortable. I really don't like being reliant on someone else, like staying with my aunt, even though she said she's happy to have me. Her house is plenty big enough and it's usually empty. It's not like I feel like a burden, but I'm not totally comfortable unless I'm independent on my own. Like unless my name is on the mortgage or the lease, I'm not going to be comfortable. And I know I definitely have some toxic independence issues I've been working through recently, and I'm getting there. I'm not perfect. It'll probably always be a struggle of mine. And that's not to say, like with partners, some of y'all thinking I'm like proactively keeping men away because I like toughing it out on my own and I want to prove I can do it on my own or whatever bullshit. No, I just mean independence from not ever wanting to rely on my family or friends, your village. I've never been comfortable relying on anybody. It makes me super uncomfortable, so I'm trying to work on that. But also for those of you who've commented you're afraid I'm gonna like slip into comfort of not having responsibility and staying with family. No, that's just not in my personality. But really, not having a roof over my head is like the only thing that is uncomfortable for me right now. That's my only worry. And it's not a worry. It's not like I'm worried about being homeless, but it's just like, okay, what do I do from here? Where do I want to go? What makes sense? And I've told you guys that I don't really know because I've also had the job situation up in the air. I've been applying to jobs up here now that I'm here, and we all know the job market is trash right now, so there's not a lot. But I've submitted some resumes and doing my best I can to get as many C days as I can with my current job. And today I actually just got home from a boat for C day number 10 for August, so I'm 2 days away from hitting my 12-day kind of target. But honestly, I'm so happy to just be in the double digits. I feel fairly certain I'll get more C days this month, but just having 10, I feel great about that. But I know it's going to slow down in the coming months, in the winter. A lot of these smaller boats are telling me they're not going to be fishing in the winter. I might have to switch strategies and take some longer trips with the bigger boats. And Pepe, what are you doing? Sounds like he's chasing a bird. Right, so might have to take longer trips, as much as I don't want to. I kind of want to make this job work because I think. The other night I was just thinking about it and it suddenly hit me. These jobs that I've been applying to, the kinds that I feel like I should be applying to and I feel like I should be trying to attain, they are like full-time salary positions with the state. Yeah, that's all I've seen so far. Like there's been 2. They're entry-ish level, the salary, when I calculate out the salary, they're like $18 to $20, $21 an hour, right? And recently, in a video, I told you guys I had gotten home from a 3-day trip and had talked about the pay difference on those 3 different days. One of you, Cat9585 to be specific, thank you for calculating that out, but you calculated out what I got per hour for those 3 sea days. So I am a contract position, I get paid $300 per sea day. Doesn't matter if it's 1 hour or 23 hours and 59 minutes. But you calculated out my hours for that particular trip, and it was 47 hours, which led to $19.15 per hour overall. And last week when I responded to that comment, my initial reaction was yuck. But it hit me the other night. Is that really so yuck? That's pretty much the same pay as what I'm applying for these other like full-time state positions. It's just that in my 3 sea days, I crammed 47 hours into 47 hours straight. If I did a work week with the state for 40 hours, that would be spread across 5 days, 8 hours per day in the standard acceptable Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 work week structure. And I would be in an office, at a cubicle, at a computer for a large amount of that time. They were fieldwork positions, but it's definitely not totally fieldwork like I have now. So I spent 47 hours straight on a boat, making $19.15 an hour, working, actually physically working. Like, yes, I have to be on the boat the whole time, but actually physically working maybe 10 hours, 12 hours of that 47. The rest of the time I was snacking, chilling, watching Netflix, reading a book. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned to you guys that I cannot stand the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday work structure. I think that is so freaking outdated. And I know it's dying with, the increase in gig work and contract work, and slowly but surely, I know change is coming, but as of right now, that's still certainly the standard. And the state, they're going to be like the last ones to give up the goose on that kind of thing. I hate that kind of structure. I hate working in a cubicle. I'm not a computer person. I'm not an indoor fluorescent light girl. I want to be outside. What other job can I just be totally in the field? And the past several trips, granted the weather's been nice, but the past several trips, I've caught myself thinking, this is great. This is not so bad. Again, weather dependent, but still, I don't care that I have to get up in the middle of the night and drive crazy hours because fishermen are nuts and like to start their work days at 2 a.m. So what? I don't care if I have a weird schedule. I don't care that I'm stuck out there with grumpy, smelly fishermen. I love fishermen. They are my people. I just relate to them. I don't know what that says about me, but I think I have a good finesse for off-putting personalities. I'm making them sound like some of them are as sweet as pie. Please don't get it mistaken. I don't know. The other night, it just all hit me at once. Like, why do I think $19.15 per hour is bad? Now, granted, I know, like, I have a master's degree, and I'm applying to, like, I'm comparing it to these more entry to mid-level jobs that I've been applying for and their salary. And in theory, I could, qualify for higher level or like work my way up or whatever. But when I stop and ask myself, is that really what I want? The answer is a hard no. I don't. Like $19.15 an hour, okay. And granted, like that's roughly, like today, for example, today I was on the boat for 10 hours. That was a short day. So that's $30 an hour. Today I made $30 an hour. Like, plus I get paid for the mileage down and back. It was out of Gloucester again. I get paid for the 5 hours of drive time and the mileage, which is always way more than I spend on gas. So that really cranks up the hourly rate too on some of these occasions. In fact, Thursday I was down in Gloucester again with like my other favorite captain. They're all great, you know. What am I doing? Why am I trying to change that? For the last handful of years, I've been trying to financially scale back my life so that my monthly existence is as cheap as possible, just because I want to ease like my need to work, or my need to like bust my ass to work to sustain myself in the future. I don't ever want to panic about not having enough money at the end of the month. I lived that way for years and I don't want to do it again. So I've been proactively avoiding things that add monthly payments to my life, and I always am trying to find a cheaper apartment. Incredibly hard nowadays, which we all know. The end goal is just a quiet, peaceful, low-key existence in nature. And so the only thing I'm kind of fighting up against at this time is monthly housing. What am I doing with that? But I just find myself questioning whether or not it makes sense for me to keep hunting for a different job when the one that I have is 100% marine science, 100% in the field. You know, if I'm only working 12 days a month, that's all the other days of the month wide open and free, and I have so much freedom and I'm so loving it. I feel half retired, and that is amazing. This is the most beautiful work-life balance. I know I don't want to fully not work because I would be bored out of my gourd. I just want to work at something that makes me happy and earn enough to be okay at my level of enough, which I know is low, you know, compared to, you know, societal standards. So if this is enough for me right now, I mean, that's kind of cool, right? That's kind of really cool to think about. These thoughts are just amplifying my happy factor lately because it leads me to thinking, maybe I don't have to keep job hunting. I don't like job hunting. I don't like it. I don't like interviewing. I don't like starting over new somewhere. I'm not trying to climb any corporate ladders. I don't want any of that. I want to just make enough to be happy doing it something that I enjoy. And if that's what I have right now, then that feels so amazing. And again, going back to the winter months when work days are going to be harder to come by, maybe that's okay too. I have other income sources I've not been living on, and I have more emergency fund than I've ever planned, and I've not had to use it these last few months through all of the upheaval, which is so cool and just makes me feel so confident in my ability that I'm always going to be okay. And so I think if the winter months are lower income, maybe like it was June and July, but then if I can make up for it in the summer months, granted, again, hopefully next summer will be better and they won't do this insane hiring frenzy that they did this year that made so many people quit, which is why I'm getting more days now. But hopefully they won't do that next year. Like, obviously, any of this could change at any moment, and I'm just theorizing. But over the long term, if I can work more days in the summer when it's nicer out and then slack back in the winter, but save in the summer enough to financially buffer myself through the winter, what's wrong with that? Yeah, just getting the roof over my head is the wild card. If I can do that as cheaply as I can, then that just eases the pressure on all of this, on getting enough sea days and worrying about the winter. I'm not saying I'm making any housing moves anytime soon. I still do want to see how the winter plays out, maybe how September goes, October, before I sign up for any lease or anything like that. But also there's a lot of seasonal rentals that are coming on the market right now. Oceanfront, lakefront, like all the things where people come and spend their summer vacations. A lot of people do rent them out during the winter season at a much cheaper price. I've told you guys I want to live somewhere between Portland and Gloucester since I'm constantly driving to the two. Right now I'm 45 minutes north of Portland, so every time I go to Gloucester, it's a long haul in the middle of the night. In fact, I left at 11 p.m. last night. I'm so tired right now. But if I could live somewhere in the middle, I think that would be much more sensible. And the further I get away from the coast, the cheaper apartments are going to be. And so I've seen some things, and maybe seasonal is the way to go. That way it's only a 5 or 6 month lease, and it allows me to check out that new area. Is that where I want to live one day? Maybe that makes sense. But that way I'm not locked into a full year lease. So I'm exploring that option as well. Not that I'm in any rush to leave my aunt's house. Obviously, it's very financially favorable. It's incredibly cheap rent for me. For now, I'm just going to keep trying to get all the sea days I can, because financially I want to refill my sinking funds over the next few months. That should be attainable. Getting my sinking funds replenished, I think, will really help me feel financially comfortable. You guys know I have my savings in SoFi right now. They're sitting at 4.6% APY. And they have these vaults that you can open up for your savings. You can title it whatever you want, and you can set a goal. You're not allowed to withdraw from those accounts. You have to transfer money from them to savings if you want to spend something. So I should have set these up a while ago, but I did set up 3 vaults for my 3 different sinking funds. So annual expenses, my car, vet, and medical fund, and my fund. Over the last couple months, my sinking funds had gotten depleted down to $1,923. So that's where we're at. I have all of that in the annual expenses fund at the moment. On Transfer Tuesday, I should be able to get that up to $2,000, and then probably add some to the car, vet, and medical fund as well. So we'll get those beefed back up. Also, like I mentioned, my emergency fund is quite a bit beyond its goal. I may peel some money off of that and put it into sinking funds and bring my emergency fund back to $36,000, which was its goal. I mean, it was 30, it's 36, I don't know. I was upping the goal as I kept saving more. But I think 36,000 is really okay. Beyond that, I think I should set a new savings goal to work towards after the sinking funds, and then start depositing my Google Pay into that new savings goal in the future, and then just let the emergency fund grow in interest every month instead of putting my YouTube income into it. And also, when I do my September budget, I need to reassess my annual expenses just because they have changed. Now that I've moved states, I pay a different amount for car insurance, so I just need to make sure $2,000 is still enough. I have not even put my head in my financial spreadsheet really lately. The year one anyway, the monthly ones, sure, but I need to get back in the game. Moving to Gloucester tanked my mental health and my give a shit about a lot of things, but now that I'm back into being able to keep saving, that'll reignite my desire to keep saving and to work on my finances again. So yeah, I don't know, guys, maybe what I have is enough, and I like that feeling. That feeling makes me very happy. This amazing work-life balance that I have right now makes me happy, even though I'm kind of on call all the time. It's fine. If I need dedicated time off, I'll ask for it. Other than that, I'm just taking life day by day anyway. Waking up each morning and just going wherever my heart desires anyway. So I don't think I would really do anything differently, even if I did have more of a concrete schedule. And this is just how I'm feeling right now. Things may change as the seasons change, as circumstances change. I feel like I can just get the housing. And life is good.